Sometimes the abused can become the abuser. This is Louise Anna Turpin. Now 55 years old, she and her husband, David Turpin, are now serving out sentences for the years of abuse that they dealt to 12 of their 13 children. Unfortunately, it would take decades before the Turpin couple got caught. And it would take a brave step from a 17-year-old to stop the cycle of abuse.
911, do you have an emergency?
I just ran away from home.
After a dire warning from their parents to be carted off to a new city where they would all be chained up, 17-year-old Jordan Turpin finally makes a run for it in the early hours of January 14th, 2018. Running down that street, we believe that she never imagined the seismic impact her actions would have on her family's fate. All she was thinking about was getting away and getting help for her siblings still in the home. Jordan reaches a corner down the block, trembling as she dials 911 beneath a stop sign. We imagine that when the 911 operator for Riverside County received that perplexing call from what appeared to be a deeply confused child, she had no inkling of the horrors about to be disclosed to her. The operator engages in a brief conversation with her before realizing the gravity of the situation and transferring her call to the sheriff's department. Jordan complies, standing in the darkness, her heart racing with the fear that her parents might catch up to her at any moment. However, when she speaks to the appropriate operator, she struggles to provide basic details such as the correct spelling of her name and her family's address.
Turpin. Do you need my address?
Yeah, what's your address?
Okay, you gotta give me a minute. This is gonna take a while.
This difficulty is unsurprising. As you are about to discover, Jordan had never had any formal education and had never been to school, so her ability to communicate anything at all is commendable. As the operator probes further about her whereabouts, Jordan discloses the grim reality. She has just escaped from a household with 15 occupants, including her parents and 13 children, with the oldest being 29 and the youngest only 2 years old at the time. Shockingly, she reveals that her 2 youngest sisters are currently bound in chains back at the house. Armed with this distressing information, the operator tries harder to ascertain her location so that she can be picked up.
Are you at a corner right now?
I might be.
Is there a street sign? Is there a pole with 2 names at the top?
I just see a stop sign.
Okay, can you go over and stand right at that stop sign?
Yes.
Within minutes, Deputy Anthony Collis arrives at the scene. He finds Jordan distressed and standing alone in the darkness. Despite Jordan's evident fear, she bravely continues to share crucial details about her family and why she had to get out. Delving deeper into the family's background, the officer learned that the Turpins had previously resided in Texas. Reports from their Texan neighbors would later reveal harsh truths about these long-term abuses. The Turpin family had relocated to Texas in the late 90s. At the time, David and Louise had 8 children. Even then, existence until a decade later when they abruptly departed late in the night without any explanation.
We thought about it, but then again, you're out in the country and you mind your own business and you figure they want their business kept to themselves also.
When concerned neighbors visited their mobile home to check on the abandoned dogs, they were met with a distressing scene. The dogs were found subsisting on discarded diapers amidst piles of trash and feces, and that wasn't the worst part. Padlocks and frayed ropes secured the doors and refrigerator, all of which indicated a grim situation.
They had a giant whiteboard, but the house smelled of funk.
Now, that was a long time ago. Considering Jordan's reports to the deputy, this abuse never stopped. By the time Jordan mentions she hasn't been allowed to have her bath in a year, and that the children get chained up anytime they steal the food dangled in front of them, the detective is convinced that he has heard enough. He directs her to the back seat of the car and informs her that they will be going round the corner to go see her home. Hearing this, Jordan informs the officer that she is terrified to go home because of her parents' reaction. He radios for backup and reassures her that she doesn't have to see her parents. On the way over to the house, the deputy asks Jordan a few more questions. Notable of all is why they don't try to escape.
Well, why don't you guys just leave the house?
Because we're terrified. We don't really have a way. Everyone's always looking. There's always somebody.
Well, you said your mom's always gone, right?
Right.
Well,
But
why don't you just leave?
our house, it makes a beeping noise.
While Jordan seemed to be under the impression that this was a signal from some sort of security system, The beeping noise was actually just the low battery sound from the smoke detectors in the Turpin's home. At some point, Jordan lets it slip that her oldest sister, Jennifer Turpin, had actually tried to escape once. Jennifer made a run for it back when the family resided in Texas. Unfortunately, that did not work, and she ended up back home only to endure more punishment.
She was picked up a little way down this road by a neighbour, but sadly, due to the extreme malnourishment and her lack of education, everyone simply thought she was mentally challenged and she was returned to her parents.
It was now 7 a.m., and the other officers had arrived at the scene. They leave Jordan and approach the front door. They knocked loudly for several minutes before they got a response.
Hi. Hi, sorry to bug you.
How you guys doing?
Good.
We got a call for a check the welfare here.
As the officers proceed to inspect the home, David asks if they have a warrant to do so. One of the officers clearly stated that they did not need one. Notably, a warrant is required to carry out searches, but there are exceptions. This was one such situation where the law permits an officer to carry out a warrantless search on a premises if they consider that there are exigent circumstances surrounding the situation. Pushing past David, who had blocked the entrance, the officers enter the home but are instantly greeted by a shocking sight. Every inch of what should have been a spacious house is covered in rotting food and trash. There was a potent stench of human waste. Just like the former neighbors had seen all those years ago, the officers could not miss the unopened boxes of children's toys and clothing scattered around the house.
All right. Well, like I said, sorry to bug you guys, but we just got this call. We all we do is we just check and make sure everybody's okay. And
You got a call?
yeah, we got a call from, I'm not sure if it was the young girl that left or if it was a neighbor that saw her walking around the street.
Heading to the children's bedrooms at the back, the officers saw two small rooms. One room is filled with narrow bunk beds, while the other is crammed with bunk beds and a filthy mattress. Although the officers believe they've located the room that Jordan spoke of, they find no kids tied up in chains. The children they do come across are visibly frightened and refrain from answering any of their questions. One child discreetly directs them to a sliding closet door, which David had conveniently blocked with his body. David is made to move, and they realize that another room is hidden there. In this hidden bedroom, the officers find a boy chained by his wrists and ankles to the top bunk bed. The officers also find additional chains in the closet of the other room.
All right, let's just go ahead and detain the parents at this point.
With that, the officers have enough to make an arrest. Both David and Louise are immediately detained.
Ma'am, why don't you step over here for a minute? Okay, with you. And sir, step over here for a second. Just step over with my partner here for a second. You got any weapons on you?
No.
Turn around real quick, I'm gonna check you out.
The officers release the restrained child, and all 13 Turpin children are promptly transported to the hospital for treatment due to severe malnutrition and injuries. Despite appearing to be under 18, more than half of the children are actually adults at the time, aged between 18 and 29. Even worse, they all suffered from cognitive impairment and nerve damage due to prolonged malnutrition. Following the arrest, investigators discovered that the children were psychologically tormented by food. Their parents would display large food items without allowing them to eat. As for the unopened toys, they were purchased for similar reasons. Furthermore, it was also established that David Turpin was not running a homeschool, as he had stated in documents that he filed at the county. Following their arrest, the Turpin children were divided into two groups. The adults were placed in supportive care, while the minors were placed in foster homes. It is a truly heartbreaking case. The Turpin children missed out on so much. When asked, both parents were unable to provide a valid explanation for their actions. Louise reportedly expressed an astounding level of confusion during interrogation. When given the chance to speak in court, David explained that there were good intentions behind his homeschooling and disciplinary methods. Above all, he claimed to be most grateful that the case was resolved without the children having to testify against their parents. When the time came for the children to give statements to the courts, Joy Turpin, 21 at the time, had this to say: "I want the court to know that our parents loved each other and loved each of their children." It was a pretty long statement, but she ended it in a manner that defended and sympathized with her parents. She said, She didn't want to use rope or chains, but she was afraid her children were taking in too much sugar and caffeine. Our parents didn't know we were malnourished. Our parents decided to start homeschooling all their children. I believe our parents were afraid to put us in public school for many reasons. I feel like 25 years is too long of a sentence. I believe with all my heart that our parents tried their best to raise all 13 of us, and they wanted to give us a good life. The oldest child, Jennifer, gave a statement that clearly put her healing and well-being above whatever would become of her parents. I'm in college now and living independently. I love hanging out with my friends and life is great. I believe everything happens for a reason. Life may have been bad, but it made me strong. I fought to become the person I am. I saw my dad change my mom. They almost changed me. But I realized what was happening. I immediately did what I could to not become like that. I'm a fighter, I'm strong, and I'm shooting through life like a rocket. By April 2019, David and Louise Turpin finally received sentences of 25 years to life in prison, where they currently remain. Louise writes a letter to her children from her jail cell. Your father and I love you so much. We're so sorry for everything we've done wrong, and now realize that we had done some things wrong. Things will be so different in the future. The way you eat and outside time and baths will be done more regularly. I'm sorry this had to happen, but our future as a family will be so much better and stronger. We hope to see you guys soon. Love and kisses, Mom and Dad. I promise there will be no chains in the house again. That would never happen again. I'm so sorry. I love you so much and hope to see you soon.